You wake up. The clock reads 2:14 a.m. You stare at the ceiling, feeling a familiar, creeping anxiety. Modern medicine has a word for what is happening to you: insomnia. If you search the internet, you will find a popular, comforting theory. It claims that your brain isn't broken. It claims that for 99% of human history, sleeping for 8 hours straight was considered impossible. The theory says that before the Industrial Revolution, humans naturally slept in two phases, separated by a magical, peaceful hour of midnight wakefulness. It tells you that industrial capitalism and the light bulb stole this nocturnal utopia from you. It is a beautiful story. But modern science and historical reality have recently proven that almost every part of it is a lie. The romantic myth of the second sleep exploded in 2001 when historian Roger Ekirch published a study containing over 500 historical references to a first and second sleep. According to this theory, you went to bed at dusk for your first sleep. Then, around midnight, you woke up naturally. You stayed awake for an hour or two, a period known as the watch, to pray, read, or visit neighbors, before falling into a second sleep until dawn. Science seemed to back this up. In 1992, psychiatrist Thomas Weir plunged volunteers into absolute darkness for 14 hours a day for a month. Stripped of artificial light, their bodies reverted to a biphasic schedule: 4 hours of sleep, a waking period, and 4 more hours of sleep. The idea resonated immediately. By the 2010s, Ekirch's research had appeared in the New York Times, the BBC, and hundreds of wellness publications. Sleep coaches began designing programs around biphasic schedules. The notion that your 2 a.m. awakening was not a disorder but a design was irresistible. Historical descriptions of the watch period seemed to confirm it. Medieval diaries and court records describe these midnight hours in almost mystical terms. People prayed, composed poetry, and reported profound mental clarity in the darkness between their two sleeps. Some historians described it as a liminal state, a threshold consciousness between dreaming and waking that pre-modern people considered spiritually significant. And there was another reason the theory spread so quickly: the guilt it dissolved. Modern medicine had spent decades offering insomnia sufferers diagnoses and prescriptions. Roger Ekirch offered something medicine could not: permission. Your fragmented sleep was not a malfunction. It was a memory. The idea did not merely spread. It became a counter-narrative to everything modern medicine had said about sleep disorders. The modern world embraced this idea. We were told that fragmented sleep was our natural, evolutionary state. But the reality of human history is rarely a utopia. Recently, medical historians like Niall Boyce have torn this romanticized myth apart. Boyce points out a brutal reality. When Thomas Weir ran his famous sleep experiment, the subjects were placed in a comfortable, temperature-controlled, windowless room. Pre-industrial Europe was not a comfortable laboratory. If you woke up at 2 a.m. in the 16th century, you weren't peacefully meditating. You were likely freezing. Your straw mattress was infested with fleas and lice. Your house was filled with the smoke of a dying fire. And you shared a bed with your entire family, and sometimes your livestock. Maintaining fire through the night was not optional. It was survival. Someone had to rise and feed it. Frost crept through the walls of most rural homes in Northern Europe. Court records from England and France describe household servants assigned specifically to night fire duty, not for preference, but because a dying fire meant death by morning. Beyond the cold, noise. A pre-industrial household was never silent. Animals shifted and cried. Infants demanded feeding. Wind found every gap in the walls. And above all of this, the cultural terror of darkness itself. In medieval Europe, night was populated, in popular belief, by malevolent spirits, thieves, and disease. The concept of the nightmare itself derives from the Old English mare, a creature believed to sit upon sleeping bodies and cause suffocation. This was not a culture that romanticized the night. Waking at 2 a.m. was not a design feature. It was an inconvenience at best and a crisis at worst. Boyce argues that historical texts have been misinterpreted. Often waking up wasn't a scheduled, peaceful break. It was just unwanted, miserable insomnia. And linguistically, the phrase first sleep might not have meant a specific 4-hour block at all. It often simply described the deepest, earliest part of the night. Segmented sleep wasn't a beautifully orchestrated 2-part symphony. It was chaotic, broken by cold, fear, and profound discomfort. But wait, didn't the Industrial Revolution and artificial light ruin our natural sleep? Didn't factories force us into an unnatural 8-hour block? A groundbreaking 2025 study published in the Proceedings of the Royal Society analyzed sleep data from 54 studies across 21 countries. Researchers from the University of Toronto, Mississauga, compared modern industrialized nations to non-industrialized societies, like remote communities in Congo and Bolivia. If the myth was true, the non-industrialized people should be enjoying long, peaceful, segmented sleep. The Hadza people of Tanzania, one of the most extensively studied hunter-gatherer societies on Earth, average approximately 6.5 hours of sleep per night. Researchers found no segmented biphasic sleep pattern among them. When they wake in the night, the cause is not a scheduled hour of reflection. It mirrors the same irregular, unwanted disruption found in modern cities. The same pattern has been documented across the Tsimane of Bolivia and rural communities studied across sub-Saharan Africa. In every non-industrialized group examined, consolidated nighttime sleep is the norm, and total sleep duration is shorter than in industrialized nations. The data revealed that people in non-industrialized societies actually sleep less, averaging just 6.4 hours a night. Meanwhile, people in industrialized countries sleep over 7 hours. And the quality of that sleep? In non-industrialized societies, sleep efficiency, the actual time spent sleeping while in bed, is only 74%. In industrialized nations, it is 88%. Industrialization didn't destroy human sleep. It rescued it. Controlled climates, pest-free mattresses, and physical security provided by the modern world gave humanity the unprecedented luxury of sleeping longer and better. Today, an entire internet subculture promotes polyphasic sleep, urging people to biohack their way back to our ancestors' segmented schedules. But the National Sleep Foundation recently issued a definitive consensus. Published in Sleep Health in 2021, Weaver et al. Concluded, deliberately fragmenting your sleep provides zero benefits. Instead, it leads to severe sleep deficiency, degrades your mental health, and destroys your physical performance. Military research confirms the cost. Studies on sleep-fragmented soldiers show critical degradation in reaction time, decision-making, and emotional regulation within 72 hours. The human brain does not process interrupted sleep as equivalent to consolidated rest. The stages of sleep are sequential and cumulative. Interrupting them is not a biological feature. It is a biological cost. The polyphasic sleep community frequently cites historical geniuses, Leonardo da Vinci, Nikola Tesla, as evidence that humanity thrived on fragmented schedules. But historians have found no reliable documentation that these figures maintained systematic, interrupted sleep patterns. What the records do show, when they had the opportunity to sleep, they took it. The mythology of productivity through sleep hacking is largely modern, largely unverified, and physiologically implausible. You have not lost a biological utopia. The 8-hour uninterrupted sleep is not an industrial prison. It is an evolutionary triumph. For most of human history, a full night of warm, uninterrupted, secure rest was a luxury the vast majority of our ancestors never knew. The pre-industrial world did not offer segmented sleep as a gift. It imposed broken nights as a consequence of cold, disease, poverty, and fear. What industrialization eventually delivered, however imperfectly, however unevenly distributed, was the infrastructure for something our biology had always wanted: to actually sleep. If you wake up at 2 a.m. today, it is not your ancient DNA calling out to you. It is likely just the stress and circadian disruption of modern life. Do not romanticize the cold, broken nights of the past. The next time you wake up in the dark, close your eyes and be grateful you don't have to share your bed with the livestock. Let me know in the comments below. What historical myth did you blindly believe until today?